Mahalo, Chair. The room is yours.
Thanks, everyone. I just need to take a deep breath. It's been a day. It's been a weekend. It's been a week. It's been a year. It's been 7 years. All right. I am going to pop open my agenda here, but I'm going to go ahead and call our meeting to order at 3:08 p.m. today, December the 5th. Thank you for attending and making the time, for commissioners, as well as those joining us from the public. And then also right about the time you guys saw me, my computer started making sounds that sounded like a jet engine was going to take off, like we was on runway 8 left. So I'm just trying to we're surfing today. We're riding all the waves. Okay, I'm going to next move on to, one second. I'm going to do our roll call. The chair is present. I'm by myself. Commissioner Benham.
Aloha, I'm present and by myself.
Mahalo. Commissioner Bento is excused. Commissioner De Silva.
Aloha, everybody. Aloha kalikimaka. I'm here and alone in my room. Thank you.
Mahalo. Commissioner Hussey.
Aloha, everyone. I am here by myself and present.
Commissioner Keokalole is excused. Commissioner Lund.
Aloha, present and alone.
Mahalo. Commissioner Onishi is excused, I believe, as well. Yep. And then Commissioner Pu'u.
Hi, aloha, present and alone.
Congratulations on your guys' award for Parks and Rec on you guys' tree.
Thank you.
Saw some video. It was beautiful. Next, going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 2, our public testimony on any of our agenda items today. If you're a member of the public and would like to testify on anything today, please go ahead and unmute and turn on your camera. Let us know. Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3.
Chair?
Approval. Yes.
Chair, 1 second. Can we do the Vehena first, please?
Oh, yeah. Who's got that today?
Commissioner Benham will take that.
Oh, mahalo. Thank you for slowing me down.
Yeah, I got to reel you in there. Aloha, friends and fellow commissioners. I'm thrilled to present the Vehena today as we celebrate the Makahiki season, when we share peace and gratitude and excellence. Peace through our dedication to Lono, our deity of abundance and harvest. Gratitude as we show our appreciation for the bounty gained by living in our kuleana, and excellence as we reach every day for excellence in all that we do. My message today is captured in a short animated story created by a graduate of our UH West Oahu Academy for Creative Media program. Her name is Michelle Zhang, and she graduated this past spring 2022. Now, students in the final year of this program have to complete a capstone research project that results in a demonstration of their mastery, their excellence in a set of skills. In Michelle's capstone, she wanted to learn more about how self-perception impacts identity. So working with Auntie Puanani Burgess, who leads the beloved community curriculum here at UH West Oahu, she animated the story, Boy with a Gift. It is a powerful story of the gifts within us and our kuleana to nurture those gifts. So here's the animated short. Go ahead, Malia.
What is a beloved community? In its simplest form, it refers to a community where you are beloved, a place where you can be yourself, thrive, and help others around you grow as well. Auntie Puanani Burgess is a kupuna, culture facilitator, storyteller, and the creator of a ceremony called Building a Beloved Community, which uses traditional oral Hawaiian storytelling to lay the foundations for beloved communities. For my senior project, I animated the story Boy with a Gift to share the story that everyone has a gift. Even if you feel like you don't have one, you do. I present Boy with a Gift. Enjoy.
Aloha, Michelle. You know, in the work that I do in building the beloved community,
There's a process I use which involves asking people 3 stories to tell. First is to tell the story of all of your names. And when you tell that story, you tell the story of your people and your family. The second story is to tell the story of your community, where you come from, and how that makes you feel. The third is to tell the story of your gift. That often is the hardest story to tell because it requires you to dig deep and to really honor something that is inherent in you that oftentimes is not seen by others. I did this story with a group of 11th and 12th graders at Waianae High School, young women and young men. We sat in a circle and we went around the circle, and each one of them told their 3 stories, their name, their community, and their gift. Until we got to this one young guy when it was his turn to tell his stories. He told the story of his name and his community, but when it came time to tell the story of his gift, he pushed back against me hard, and he looked at me straight in the eye and he said, "Miss, what kind of gift you think I get? I stay in this freaking special ed class. I get hard time read, and math hard for me. And why you make me shame for asking me the kind of question, what's your gift? If I had gift, you think I'd be here?" So he just shut up and he shut down. And I felt shame because I made him shame. So I shut up and I shut down. Fortunately, in every community, there are always places where you can see everybody you like see and everybody you know like see. And so in Waianae, one of those places for us is Tamora Store. So I'm in Tamora Store and I'm pushing my wagon down the aisle and I see that boy and his back is faced toward me and all I can think of is run. And so I start to back up and I'm trying not to hit anything on the side and trying not to make any noise because I don't want him to turn around. I don't want him to yell at me and I don't want him to make me shame again. So I'm backing up and then he turns around and he looks at me straight in the eye and he says, "Auntie, I've been thinking about you, you know. I've been thinking what my gift that Auntie told me I can give, you know, so I better find him. So Auntie, I've been thinking about it, you know." So I looked up at him and I said, "So brother, what is your gift?" He said, "You know, I get hard time read and math hard for me. But Auntie, when I go in the ocean, I can call the fish, you know. And a fish, he come every time. Every time I can put food on my family table. And sometimes when I stay in the water, the shark, he come, you know, and he look at me. And I look at him and I tell him, "Uncle, I'm not going to take plenty fish. I'm going to take 1, 2 fish just for my family. All the rest, I leave for you." So the shark, he tell me, "Are you cool, brother?" And I tell him, "Uncle, you cool." And so the shark, he go his way, you know, Auntie, and I go my way. I look at that boy and I think, you are invisible to them. They don't know the quality of your mind and your heart and your knowledge, your Ike. And I think to myself, how do we make room for the gifts of all of our children? And how do we make these schools really be attentive to and begin to see and teach to the gifts of our children? But it begins with each one of us thinking about and knowing that we have gifts and having the patience to wait for the answer. So my question to you is, what do you bring to your community? What is your gift? Mahalo.
What is a beloved community?
So mahalo, friends and commissioners, for this time to share with you the spirit and the gift of our students here at West Oahu. I hope that you remember the gifts of that spirit through this holiday season, through our Makahiki season. Mahalo for this time.
Mahalo, Commissioner Benham. Great reminders all around about the pilina that we have to one another and to this place. And so this work also helps us remind us of our pilina across Moana Nui Akea and the work that we have to welcome everybody in 2024. So mahalo for that. I would like to entertain next a motion for our minutes that were circulated of our November 9th meeting. Members, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hussey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner De Silva. Discussion, members. Hearing no discussion, members. Going to go ahead and vote on approving the minutes unamended of our November 9th meeting. Chair votes aye. Commissioner Benham.
Aye.
Commissioner Bento is excused. Commissioner De Silva.
Aye.
Commissioner Hussey.
Aye.
Commissioner Lum.
Aye.
Commissioner Pu'u.
Aye.
I believe that's everybody we have on the call. Mahalo, members. Gonna go ahead and move on next to agenda item, what I believe is number 4. Were there any permitted interactions pursuant to Act 103, Session Laws of Hawaii 2021? I'll start by saying that the Administrative Committee did not meet during this time. The Venues and Program Committee did meet on November 17th at 2:30 p.m. and that will be covered in their report later on the agenda. But any other permitted interactions, members? Okay, hearing none. I'm going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 5, the Festival Director's Report. So over to you, Aaron. Mahalo.
Thank you, Chair. Just a really quick thank you to Commissioner Benham and a note that Michelle Jang's talent in animation has been so well received. She just completed a project for the CDC around type 2 diabetes for the Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander community. So a bunch of that animation is also going to be making its way. Incredible talent, incredible talent. So thank you, Commissioner Benham and Tipua for bringing us back home in many, many ways. Festival Director's Report, the discussion regarding a FestPac fiscal partnership is in process. Commissioners from the Admin Committee have commenced discussion with the East-West Center and have begun moving forward on designing a scope. Therefore, we've also started to intake fund promises from philanthropists and organizations. So as we finalize the agreement with respect to fiscal partner, we'll be in position to properly intake funds. I want to acknowledge Commissioner Bento, who is working with Ho'okahua Cultural Vibrancy at Kamehameha Schools. We are designing an MOU that covers the Va'a ceremony hosting out of Ho'okahua and Ka'iwakilo Moku. That MOU will be going through Venues and Programming Committee to come to the Festival Commission. In meeting with Venues and Programming Committee, it seems that there was some concern about what might be considered ancillary events having the potential to overshadow the festival proper. So from my perspective, ultimately it is not possible to overshadow FestPac because ultimately it's FestPac that brings, that stands at the corpus of all the activity. I think one of the things that Venues and Programming Committee and I will continue to discuss is how we properly use all the venues, especially the convention center, because it's so big. And so I'll let Jamie, Commissioner Lum speak to the Venues and Programming Committee meeting minutes, and then we can come back to this as necessary. But just what ultimately I want the Commission to rest assured that at the core, at the center of everything is the Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture. And that really stands at the center of everything that happens around it. The SPC visit that included Human Rights and Social Development Director Miles Young, Culture Lead Dr. Francis Koya Vakauta, and New Caledonia Conseillère from the Ministry of Culture, Hea Emily Katrawi, was a great success. Over the course of 6 to 12 November 2022, the delegation was able to visit the primary and several ancillary FestPac venue sites, including the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and the Hawaii Convention Center, the Hawaii State Art Museum, the Bishop Museum. Thank you to Dr. Brandon Bunag, who is here attending the meeting today. Polynesian Cultural Center, thank you to Kelly Haverly, who's also with us today. Royal Hawaiian Center, thank you to Monty McCumber, who's also here with us today, as well as the East West Center. Mahalo nui to this commission for providing the venue and space for Director Young and Dr. Vakauta to present on the Pacific Regional Culture Strategy 2022-2032, as Hawaii's hosting of the 13th FestPAC provides several inroads to realizing strategy pillars that are in alignment with our own Ho'olulahui Regenerating Oceania theme. It was also good, I think, for the commission to hear directly from the SPC and its representatives so that the commission can be better aware of how the SPC can and really does want to support our efforts to host the 13th FestPAC, not the least of which is participating in support for the symposium efforts of the 13th FestPAC. To that end, the SPC will be hosting an in-person Council for Pacific Arts and Culture, or CPAC, meeting from 13 to 17 March 2023 in Honolulu. The purpose of this meeting will ultimately be to discuss the 13th FestPAC and to provide information, logistics, programming, and otherwise to CPAC members. I'm working with SPC to design this meeting, and I'll work with the CPAC chair as well and chair of the commission to assure that we're all on the same page toward March of 2023. And then bringing it back home for a little bit, the everything that we are, work to promise by the end of calendar 2022, that is the website, that is an updated invite, and the discussions with State Department around travel visas, et cetera, are still slated to be ready to go out into the region through the SPC by the end of calendar this year. One thing we do need to, and I think Jamie will bring, Commissioner Lum will bring this up in the Venues and Programming Committee meeting. It's something that we need to discuss in the admin committee is who should be signing the invite, right? If it's our new governor, Green, on behalf of the Hawaii FestPAC, or as Commissioner Onishi has pointed to the potential of engaging at the federal level. So I will leave this at that, and I can take any questions now or later.
Thanks, Aaron. Members, questions for the festival director? Any questions? I also want to note Commissioner Keokalole also joined our meeting today at 3:20 p.m. for the minutes. Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Lum?
Thank you, Chair.
Yep.
Aaron, do we know, so discussions with East West Center are in progress, you said, for being a fiscal sponsor? Is that, and is something being worked out already, some sort of agreement? I'm just wondering about the timing. Like you said, I know that there are people that have expressed interest in donating money, and we'd of course like to get all of that on board. So do you have any idea of timing, how long that such an agreement will take to be reached?
Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner Lum. We actually have more than interest. We have promises and checks written, signed. We just need to know whom they go to. It's probably better for Commissioner Benham to speak to where we are in conversation regarding discussion MOU scope with East West Center.
So we did talk with East West Center and with Ruth, but actually I was pointing because Sylvia is like next to me in the box there. So what Sylvia is actually doing is that she's going to be meeting with Ruth to use her expertise around the accounting process, the compliance steps and all those bits. So Sylvia, you want to update us? So once we get that going, then we can actually begin to develop an MOA.
Yeah, like anything, because of the Thanksgiving holiday, that kind of slowed everybody down for that week. But Ruth has been in contact with me, and we're going to try to get something penciled in today or tomorrow, to get on the same page and move that process along.
Mahalo, members. Any other comments or questions for the festival director's report? Okay.
I'm sorry, just a quick follow-up, Chair, and to Commissioner Lum. So the other thing is that if we aren't able to secure that by the end of calendar, the commission has approved, again, NAHA until the end of fiscal 2023. And so if it comes to just encouraging philanthropists up to that point to allow for NAHA to continue in that capacity until the end of fiscal 2023, then we'll move in that direction. What I don't want to do is lose this momentum, because what it's done is create, again, I'll report to this, I'll report on this to the admin committee, but what it's done is create momentum into meetings with other quite large philanthropists. So I want to make sure that we're striking while the iron is hot. Yeah, thank you.
Mahalo, Aaron.
Hi.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Commissioner Benham, that may have been the announcement or update you wanted to share for agenda item number 6. Okay, got it. So I'm gonna go ahead and move us along past number 6 and move on to agenda item number 7 and turn the floor over to Commissioner Lum. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Chair. So the Venues and Programming Committee did meet on November 17th, and Festival Director has already mentioned some of the things in his report that we discussed. But I guess so what I wanted to highlight, and in terms of our follow-up activities. So as he mentioned, there was some discussion, and it came out of follow-up from the last commission meeting about funding, that perhaps some of these other events that are outside of festival proper may be gaining more momentum and have sponsors versus festival proper. So that prompted Rep. Onishi to recommend that when meeting with the congressional delegates, that perhaps we focus on trying to get funding to fulfill our hosting responsibilities, which are basically putting on the festival proper and all of our hosting responsibilities with respect to the delegates, right? The housing, the meals, transportation, etc. So as a follow-up, so Rep. Onishi said that he would make contact with all of the congressional delegates, their offices, and see if perhaps meetings could be scheduled during the holidays when they're home. So I don't know if there have been any follow-up with you directly, Aaron, but I know that Rep. Onishi is working on that.
Yeah, as a quick follow-up to Commissioner Lum's report, yes, Commissioner Onishi and I sat together for several hours and talked through him reaching out to the congressional delegation, and also in discussion around how he conceives of the responsibility of hosting and then the responsibility of funding these, well, what we're calling right now, these ancillary events. So we did spend quite a bit of time discussing these things. He has reached out to the congressional delegation. We're going to meet again next week. Oh, no, later this week to see where he is with that. He does want to set up meetings while they're home. He does want to assure that we get to DC if we have to, but he is spearheading that effort.
Thank you.
Yeah, as a quick follow-up though, regarding, especially with the State Department. So the State Department, the contact that I've been working with controls a lot of the programming funding that comes through to Pacific related activity. That is not just content, but also geography. So anything that's happening in the Pacific or having to do with the Pacific generally comes through Mara's, Hosoda's desk. And so what we've talked through is how best to engage the State Department around these activities, funding that is for these particular activities, around the symposia at the convention center, the film screenings, etc. And so what we'll try to do, and I've discussed this with Rep. Onishi, is to look at how we also have to do this with Kamehameha. So just a quick note, how we're engaging the State Department overall and what that umbrella covers, and how we engage these sort of large funders as well, right? So what the overall umbrella is looking at the kinds of activities and kinds of things that they want to fund, but also these for lack of a better term, the piecemeal events and activities that are of interest to these institutions.
Thank you, Aaron. Just a few more things, Chair.
Yep.
So kind of following on with that discussion, as Aaron already mentioned in his report and part of the discussion, we talked about the invitations that need to go out, because I kind of went through what was done back in 2018, the process, how that worked, because we sent out on behalf of the commission with Governor Ige at the time signing those invitations, and it took a little while. You know, we had to go back and forth with SPC, et cetera. And then the question came up about whether, if we're going to be approaching the feds for some funding, should the invitation come from the federal government? So that was kind of something we left out there. But in thinking about this, and this is not, I'm just throwing this out, in thinking about this, I think that would probably really slow us down. So perhaps I'm thinking now with Governor Green being taking office, already in office, perhaps we should just move forward with trying to get invitations out with Governor Green signing. And that's what I'm just throwing that out as my own suggestion, rather than going the route of trying to get, you know, someone at the federal level, president or secretary or whomever, to sign an invitation.
Commissioner Lum, can we pause there and kind of take that up? So members, my recommendation as well would be to have Governor Green invite the delegations from the various countries. I agree that the federal level would significantly impact us in terms of timing. So if anybody has an objection or feels really strongly about that, I think now's the time or place to say it. Again, in a consistent manner, we had Governor Ige make the original invitations as well. So there's some precedents that we're following there in that regard. So members, if you have any major objections, I guess now's the time to voice it. If not, I'd like to give Director Salah the directive now to go ahead and work to get Governor Green's invitations out. Commissioner De Silva.
It's not an objection. It's more information to say this is the way we should go. In all of the invitations that have come in the past, they have been received by the governor of Hawaii. So it just makes sense for the governor of Hawaii to send the invitations out to the other countries when we're hosting.
So when we've been invited in prior festivals,
Yes.
It's gone to the governor.
Yes, it doesn't go to the federal government, it goes to the governor of Hawaii.
Mahalo.
Model.
Okay, Festival Director Salah, I think you've got the clarity on that particular item, so please go ahead and move forward.
Will do.
All right,
Just as
Commissioner Lum,
a
go ahead.
sorry,
Go ahead.
quick follow-up on that. Even the SPC has noted that from their perspective, this or updated invite may just be a formality as an updated invite, that for their intents and purposes, CPAC has received the 2018 invitation, and that invitation still stands except for new dates. So I think it would be good if the commission has decided that Governor Green will be the inviter, then as he's a new governor, great. I will work with his office to secure the new invite. And the admin, I should also say the admin committee. So we had just started this discussion in the Venues and Programming Committee because Rep. Onishi is interested and Commissioner Lum is at DBED. But ultimately, it's a discussion to come from the admin committee anyway. So, okay, I'll work with the admin committee on that.
Commissioner De Silva.
Thank you, Chair. Festival Director Salah, I just want to remind you that before anything goes out, it has to go to SPC and it has to be translated, and the French and English go out simultaneously. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when I say go out, I really mean go out to SBC, and SBC can do their thing. Thank you for that.
Sorry, Commissioner Lum, interrupted you, but wanted to kind of nail that one down real quick.
All good. I'm glad we can scratch that one off our list. And then just the final thing, again, as the festival director, excuse me, mentioned about the venues. So he did ask the venues and programming committee for some assistance in wanting us to check out the venues, whether we do it in person or virtually, so that we can make sure that the venues are maximized, especially, and I see a typo, or I missed a word I missed in the minutes. It's supposed to be Hawaii Convention Center, it just says Hawaii Center. Anyway, so since of course that's a venue that already has money banked over there that we want to maximize the use of it. So that's in progress. We haven't discussed setting anything up yet, but that's on our to-do list for the venues committee to do. And that's my report. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Lum. Commissioner De Silva.
Oh man, I'm so verbal today. I'm sorry. Commissioner Lum, when the committee, does the committee have anybody, is there anybody on the committee who has been to festivals, who's familiar to be able to help evaluate the venues?
Commissioner Bento is on the committee,
Okay.
as well as festival director would be with us. So
Okay. Mahalo.
if and I would suggest, I guess, Commissioner De Silva, if you want to be involved, then I guess then one of us would sit out so that we don't exceed the 4 people. We don't exceed the
Right.
what we're allowed.
Or limit.
So you know, let us know, because I'm sure we value your input for sure.
I would like to just offer, if the committee thinks I would be a valuable asset and somebody would like to sit out, I would be happy to go along and help with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm also not saying I have to. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Members, any other questions for Commissioner Lum and her report from the Venues and Program Committee? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and move us on to agenda item number 8, which was ongoing fundraising and fund development support. This is one that was originally on the October agenda, ended up moving on because of November and the SPC being in town, and re-agendized it for today. But with the update from the admin committee in agenda item number 6, I might be getting my numbers mixed up. I'm really wondering, members, do you have any specific things you want to cover regarding ongoing fundraising and fund development support? That conversation is tied to where we would end up putting those funds. It also is tied to how do we get resources to do the fundraising, which is something else that this commission has discussed in the past. And so, members, I want to open the floor for that stuff first. And if not, no, okay, I'll give some thoughts. Aaron, I think one of the things that you've been doing well is working within the system that we have now, working with the fiscal sponsor that we have now. But we do need to transition beyond that and prepare, quite frankly, for when NAHA is no longer able to serve as the fiscal sponsor, fiscal agent. And I know that there's some distinction in terms of the phrasing and the vocabulary we use around that. I will say though, I'm really concerned, I think on my part, about how we resource you properly and ensure, one, that we can continue to employ you to do the work as festival director, because that's important to me. Like, you should be compensated for the time that you're dedicating to this. And then also the fundraising work that needs to happen so that we can ensure that we have all the funding required to host the festival in a safe manner and one that I think enriches all of us. So I guess this is a little bit of a question for you, Erin, and members' thoughts if you have any. But how do we research you, Erin, to make sure that the fundraising can continue while we simultaneously work to figure out where to put the fundraising money that we've earned once the commitments are made? Because I think those are a little bit of two parallel tracks at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm going to shoot from the hip
Okay.
right now, right? So we have an initial promise as a kind of seed of 150,000 that needs to be put somewhere. And so altogether, up through the end of calendar 2022, the Hawaii Pacific Foundation will be just below, I want to say, $250,000 given to FestPac. That is inclusive of $150,000 that they're giving directly to FestPac, and then $100,000 that they will be giving to UH West Oahu for FestPac resourcing. And so
So some of that is actually going to be going to help to support the salary of the festival director. But it's also, but what we're also talking about in the admin committee is, you know, as the resources start coming in, to really begin to develop the just-in-time budgeting that we need to do for fund development and then other kinds of things. So we're going by the budget that we had set up and approved a while ago. And as we get the money in, then we're going to begin to build that budget. It's not the best way to go about doing it, but you know, it is where we are right now. So we do have 150 coming in. Hopefully we'll have a place, Sylvia, to put those resources in. And in a fund that Hawaii Pacific Foundation had created with us that would specifically go to our effort to support our effort, I'm talking UH West Oahu support of FestPac. We have those resources as well.
Thanks, Commissioner Benham. Erin, any additional thoughts?
Yeah, so ultimately, there are a number of ways that we can work around not having, oh, Elise, oh, okay, just keep me honest here, right? So there are a number of ways that we can work around not having a proper MOU at the outset. So for instance, a funder can write a check to a nonprofit that is at least kind and say, you know, like it's done with UH West, like UH West Oahu or UH Foundation. So Hawaii Pacific Foundation, for instance, has afforded resources to UH Foundation for the work of UH West Oahu doing work for FestPac, right? So students have been engaged to rebuild the website, to do some graphics, et cetera. So that funding has gone in to support efforts of the institution toward the success of FestPac, right? So until we get a proper, you know, one-stop fiscal partner in place, there are these creative ways that we can intake funds. However, obviously, the ideal is for us to design a scope that has agreement with all parties, with, you know, proper or special procurement properties in place. Okay, now with regard to the salary of the FestPac festival director. And thereafter, you know, I hope you don't mind, Chair. I'd rather take that up in the admin committee, and ultimately to say that we'll just find a way to make it all happen. But I'd rather us take that in committee than having us discuss that here.
Okay, thanks, Erin. You know, I would also agree, and I think for me, there's some logistics, right, that you've described that I think the admin committee can take offline in our admin committee work, and then come back to this full commission in January with. Members, any opposition to that, to work through the admin committee and then pick it back up in the January meeting? Okay, I'm hearing none. And the next thing is agenda item number 9. Any members of the public wishing to testify on today's agenda items that we've discussed so far? Okay, going once, second time, third time's a charm. Mahalo. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to agenda item number 10. Commissioners, you were emailed by staff about potential Q1 meeting dates. We did discuss a while back moving into 2 meetings a month in calendar 2023 as we ramp up for 2024. The dates that were shared were January 9th and 23rd, February 13th and 27th, March 6th and March 20th. I'm cognizant of a couple of things. For those who are involved with the legislative session, either as elected officials or those of us who have to testify before said elected officials, that may be quite an aggressive meeting schedule for the first 4 months of the year. But I'm open as a commission how we want to meet. And if anybody had any major conflicts with those dates that Malia had sent out. Okay, let me rewind. First question, 1 meeting or 2 for the first quarter of next year? Chair votes 1. I'm trying to be realistic.
I'm sorry, 1 meeting, or I didn't understand what you just asked, sorry.
In calendar 2023, we had discussed in ramping up for 24 that the commission would meet twice a month as opposed to once a month.
Right.
I think during the legislative session, it's going to be a bit aggressive of a schedule for many of us on this call because we're either in government or you're elected official or service a department who it will be preparing for and reading bills and writing testimony and all the fun things.
So you're asking us if we could go back the first quarter to 1 meeting a month instead of 2. That's what you're asking. I
Yeah.
vote for 1.
Okay. I see a lot of head nods.
Commissioner
Elisa-
Keoho Kalole is on the call. He
I think we know his answer, but if you'd like to vocalize, you can. Okay, all right, let's move to 1 meeting. We'll have staff coordinate with you guys offline. I don't believe we need to take up the scheduling of that here, but we, just for the record, we are deciding for 1 meeting a month for the first quarter of 2023. In March, we'll revisit and see how April is going. Obviously, we'll still be in session, but we'll take it on a quarterly basis for now. Malia, please work with the commissioners to schedule the first quarter meetings for 1 a month. And so commissioners, if you can keep an eye out for Malia's email to follow up which dates you guys can, and if there are any major conflicts that you might have. Okay. I don't have any other formal announcements that I'm aware of, but commissioners, do you have any? Okay, hearing none. Our next meeting, let's clarify that. We did say January 9th. Does that still work for everyone? Afternoon, 3 o'clock, same time? Okay, our next meeting will be January 9th, 2023. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud already, at 3 p.m. on January 9th. And I will open us up for the new year. Members, if not, I assume we can move without objection to adjourn today's meeting at 3:51 p.m. Mahalo, enjoy the holidays. However you do or don't celebrate with your ohana, do take the time though to recharge those batteries personally and professionally as we head into a new year. Mahalo nui.
Mahalo, Chair.
Mahalo.
Happy holidays.
Aloha,
Happy
everybody.
holidays. Aloha.
Aloha.